Well, since we put this in before, I don't know how I did double dibs on it, but that doesn't matter because Cindy Hyde-Smith is my guest, and we will go immediately to her. She and VMix are on the phone. VMix, oh, there you are. You can fade that down, Perez. U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, good morning, ma'am. How are you?
We're great, Paul. Having a good morning.
Good. Are you are you still at home, or are you headed to Washington?
Oh, no, I'm in D.C. Been here all week.
Are you?
Working very hard.
Well, I think everybody wants me to ask you how Mama's doing.
Oh, so kind. After being hospitalized for 30 days, she is at home and doing remarkably well. You're very, very kind.
Well, just tell us we all are thinking about her and have her in our prayers. And I know you spent a lot of time anguishing over that, and hopefully she's doing okay. In Washington, D.C., there were some more, I guess, some turmoil there last night. It's hard to keep up with this anymore, Senator. I mean, I know we had it in Louisville. Louisville was on fire in some places. My understanding was in California, New York, there were some here and there. But what about Washington? How did it look last night?
Well, from the news reports, we did have a few protesters last night. I did not hear anything. I didn't see anything. But, of course, you know, I'm in an apartment building, but I'm sure it was just right down the street because most of it takes place not far from here.
Well, I want to ask you about the polling. And, again, Lucian Smith was with me a little bit earlier, and the nominee for Mississippi GOP chairman to take over. And, again, Frank Bordeaux said it would be decided on Thursday. And I'm sure that everybody wants to get that behind them. But we were talking about the polling data showing that SB was only one back. And again, I think that's one of the things that you said. You haven't had a chance to get out there and work to the way you wanted to. But I don't think anybody in their right mind would think that that poll's accurate.
No, you're exactly correct. You're going to hear a lot of noise and a lot of creativity. And, you know, we feel very good about this, but the poll that matters is on November the 3rd. And we've been in Washington, you know, so many weeks in a row right now. And hopefully we will have some time in the next 40 days. I think that's the plan, that we have some time in state. But, of course, things changed when the Supreme Court justice issue happened on Friday. And so we may be here more than what we thought, but we're here working, and but we have some weekends. I'll be in the Delta on Friday. I'll be at the Ole Miss ball game Saturday. You know, we're working really hard.
I got you.
We feel very confident.
I think you and both Roger have said, given your graces, and certainly would be a yes vote. And we saw that Mitt Romney came on board a couple of days ago. And there are some rumors out there that Senator Murkowski has now said that she may, or at least she's looking at it. Have you seen any update on that?
I have not. Of course, I saw Lisa yesterday, and I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. I mean, this is the right thing to do. And, you know, we have a job to do. We have a solemn duty to fill this vacancy. And you hear the chatter that, you know, we should wait till after the election. I don't agree with that at all. I think we have clear historical precedent on our side, and this time should be no different. You know, there have been 15 vacancies in U.S. history where a Supreme Court vacancy arose in the presidential election. And the president put forth a nominee, and the Senate confirmed the nominee in the same year.
Yeah.
The American people spoke loud when they elected a Republican Senate and a Republican president. And, you know, we're not forgetting that.
Well, I played something yesterday, a soundbite from Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself, who said the president's elected for 4 years, not 3 years, and there's nothing that says he can't, within that 4-year period, do exactly what he's supposed to do, is nominate someone, and it's up to the Senate to confirm him or deny it.
I just did my job 3 years out of a 4-year term. I think people in Mississippi would be pretty upset with me. We're here to do what's right.
I do want to ask you about this, and this is totally off the board there, but Marco Rubio, we had the story, I think, on Monday, or maybe it was on Friday of last week, talking about maybe doing something with daylight savings time. Has that been brought up, or is that on the radar there, or a possibility, or is it just one of those offing things that somebody mentions and it'll not be taken up?
Well, there hasn't been a lot of chatter about that here among us, among the senators on the floor. But I have constituents in Mississippi that contact me twice a year. And they want that to change, but there hasn't been a lot of momentum to my knowledge of that. But Marco's a great guy, and
Yeah.
we have a lot of respect for what he thinks, and so we'll see if their conversation starts.
Story in the stack yesterday that I did not have a chance to get to. Last week, the Trump administration directed $14 billion in needed assistance to farmers affected by COVID-19. There's going to be the second round of financial aid to farmers. In April, the financial aid was given to the farmers, too. Many of the farmers in our country they've been put in a situation where those farms could go under in massive amounts, which would have a devastating impact on the grocery that you see in stores across America. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to create significant market and trade disruptions. This would be the second round of aid that the Trump administration delivered to farmers out of the money and borrowing authority that was approved to support the agricultural sector. In April, the Ag Department announced a $19 billion aid package, so this one was $14 billion. You want to speak to that?
Well, Americans see the significance of making sure that farmers succeed. That's who feeds us. And this president, Paul, has been so conscious of that. He has been so good to the farmers and ranchers in this country. And with the markets and the interruption that we have, it was significant. We had a battle just this week in the concurrent resolution of funding for what we call the Community Credit Corporation. It's kind of the banking branch of USDA. And it was taken out of the CR. And it was just politics at play. But I'm really proud of Mississippians, the Farm Bureau, the Cattlemen's Association. Everybody got involved. All the farm groups got involved in contacting the House members saying, we have to have this in here. This is stability. It's contracts that we have with farmers, with the federal government and the farmers individually that we have to honor. And luckily it worked. We got it put back in there. And right now it's in there and it's safe, but not without a battle. Because, the opposite side, when they want to pull out something, they pull out something that they know matters. And that certainly matters to us in supporting the ag community.
The change that would happen with Democrats in this seat from SB or in the White House with Joe Biden would be remarkable. And I think people would realize that within the first quarter of the new year. But, Joe Biden has... You look at and you say exactly what does he offer? Some of the things he's promised. He's promised that your taxes are going to go up. He's met before people, said if you like the tax cut we got, forget about it. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to raise your taxes, and that's middle class. If you're going to pay more in a variety of ways that you have no idea now until it gets here.
It would be total disaster. If the Democrats took over this seat, if we had a Democratic president, I'm telling you, they would undo so many things that the President Donald Trump has accomplished. We would never straighten it out in 20 years. They could do more harm in 1 year than we could get turned around in 20 years. There is a stark difference. There is such a comparison there. Just with the police and defunding the police itself, the things that would change there. The craziness is so hard to comprehend, but Paul, it's real. This is the most important election in American history. I cannot stress that enough. It is scary.
Yeah. But they don't hide this. When you look across the aisle on the other side for AOC, they're not shy about saying this.
We win in November. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not going back to brunch. We're not going back to brunch. That's not happening. Unless you're doing a little self-care break in your house, especially, etc. But there is no going back after November.
It's a little bit scary. And you talk about the deregulations that he's done. Cost of energy is going to increase from restrictions on drilling and fracking and reimposing the limits on some of the places that he said we could drill if we did it environmentally safe. And if you don't think it affects you, wait till your job disappears from that.
That's exactly right. To push the Green New Deal and to be serious about it, to defund the police as well as take your guns. And, that is such a number one issue that so many of my colleagues have been hit so hard in these campaigns is that they support the Second Amendment. And there's so many states that they have just really butchered them because they support the Second Amendment. So that's a great indicator.
I got one final question. I know that you've got to go, but I want to ask you this real quickly. Is it the law that you have to have the hearings, or is that an optional? Is that a rules committee thing, or do you know?
Well, it normally you do have the hearings, and of course, Judiciary Chairman is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey says we're going to have hearings.
We are going to have hearings.
I guess there's some wild circumstance that they could vote not to, but I don't.
I got you.
That.
Always good seeing you, and give our prayers and our love to your mother, and I hope she does better.
Thank you very much. Sure means a lot coming from my SuperTalk family.
You got it. Cindy Hyde-Smith.